So, Lena, I
Yeah.
asked you on to talk about the differences between in-person and online trainings. We've got a series of in-person events coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always the question is, do we do more of these that incur travel costs and are, a little bit harder for people to fit into the diaries? Or do we keep them online, and do we aim to be an online training company? And it's always a big debate for me. So
Yeah.
what your thoughts and experiences were.
I've just been to a fine-tuning in-house, and I really loved it. I mean, you can do so many things on Zoom, and it's rather good. Many things are really good on Zoom, like you don't have to travel, less expensive. You can meet people from all around the world. But there are things you can do when you actually meet each other in person. Like, for example, we practiced throwing our voice. Cannot do that on Zoom.
It makes no sense on Zoom. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's that when somebody's got an individual, when their system's organized where they've got maybe a part, which might be here, or it might be out that window or somewhere, when the facilitator is speaking to that part, they speak to that part, and they take both their voice and their attention into the space that the client is paying attention to. Yes, it's a important skill. It's an adaptable skill, but I can see what you mean. You could never do that online.
No. So in a practice group in Sweden, we've talked about voice, but throwing your voice you cannot do.
No.
Right. And it's also the case that like in coffee breaks and lunch breaks. I mean, it's lovely to either Sean or John to have the lunch made for you and chit chat with the other people. And whereas on Zoom, at least I just want to go away and
yes,
take a break alone.
Yes, I was talking to our Sean about it, and he said, I said, so what's the difference for you? I knew I was going to come on here and talk to you. And he said, it's still like, when you've gone and played a game of rugby and you're in the rugby club afterwards, he said, you've got to have played that game together to really feel each other. And then after that, he said, you know each other in a different way. And he said, if I hear from somebody online that I played rugby with, I still feel them, even though I might not have seen them for ages. And I was like, I get that. When I met Matthew Elphick from Australia in London last month, and I'm like, oh yeah, now when I see him online, I'll feel him. Whereas I'd never felt him before.
Sometimes I actually also forget the people I've only seen as a little picture image on the screen. I don't forget the people I've met.
Yes, you don't forget them. They stay with you in a different way. So we've got the ICF coming up, the ICF ACC training with clean language as its core methodology. And I just wondered, particularly with coaching, is there anything that you think, oh, that'll be good, that's going to be in person instead of the online stuff that we've done really well and really successfully so far? But anything that you think, oh, that'll be great in person?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as with the fine tuning, actually meeting people and chit chatting in the breaks gives a sort of trust. And therefore, I think it's easier to come up with topics to talk about, because you need to train, you need to practice the coaching. The first CCCP we developed it with Marian. We did here in Sweden as a physical meeting, and that went really well. I've also been part of being online, and I agree it works well, but you miss out the breaks.
Yeah.
We had a Christmas party here in you missed that.
Yeah, it's the little things where you build collective trust.
Yeah, I mean, you can coach on Zoom, but it's the same as soon as you get into the gestures and more symbolic things, it's easier when you meet. but it works online.
Yes, I was wondering about as well. It's about peripheral vision.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you're doing coaching, particularly something like clean language and symbolic modeling, where you're very interested in gesture and how things are organized, and you might have patterns at different ages. And I think that on Zoom, I can only use my focal vision.
Mm-hmm.
And in person, I can use all of my peripheral vision. I can see little gestures. I notice that they keep going out the same place in the room.
Yeah.
I can, I was in Serbia working with somebody again last month, and I could see that she kept going into a line behind her. You
Mm-hmm.
could,
Yeah.
on Zoom, I don't think I could have seen the line of sight. And so I could say, oh, where are you going when you go there? And immediately she's back in a hospital trauma that she had when she was a child. You're like, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's the peripheral rather than the focal is another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I don't know when I'm going to see you next in person.
Well, I'd like to do an advanced fine-tuning in person.
Yes.
Trying to
I think the next time Marian puts one of those on, I might sneak down and come myself. Absolutely.
I cannot do adventures because it's in our holiday. So, but next time it's not in my holidays, I'll come.
We'll put it. You need to tell us.
Yes.
Lovely. Well, thank you for talking to me.
No worries. It's lovely to see you.
Absolutely.